Hello, everyone. It's been a long time, a really long time since we last had our AMA. I'll also tell you today why that is. And yeah, first of all, hello, Ricardo.
Hi, Sandy.
Yeah, so we're without Anita today. We're kind of in a cost preservation mode, let's say it like this, currently with 3 years. So we're doing this today alone. What we'll do is we'll mostly just be, answering your questions. There are quite some questions that have been asked in the community, so we'll do a proper AMA today. So really go into answering some questions, and I don't know, maybe now that Anita today isn't with us, I'll give Ricardo the opportunity to practice his skills a bit and just tell us a quick 15-minute introduction to 3R. 15 seconds. You can do 15 seconds.
I was like, oh, you stopped my heart there for a second. Yeah, as you guys know, 3Air providing connectivity and banked for the unbanked. So we're really trying to make sure that we're providing value to organization or individuals that need support. So 3Air has been doing this for a while, and we're looking to move into 3Air Global. And that's what we've been focusing on the last little bit. And we've got some updates for you when it comes to where we're sitting from a regulatory and timing perspective as we go through and answer some of your questions you guys have submitted in advance. So thank you for submitting those questions because it's important for us to engage with the community and make sure that we're being as transparent as much as possible.
Cool. So you're also at an interesting place right now. Just tell us a bit where you are actually.
Sure. Yeah, I'm currently in Singapore at a conference called Token 2049. So it's the biggest concentration of organizations and creators and builders in Southeast Asia, and there's people from all over the world here. So we're here representing 3Air Global and having a lot of good conversations about how we can transform and decentralize telecom services to really give power back to the end users. So it's good. It's long days. It's packed full of content, talking about Web3 gaming, DeFi. So it's a really good conference with a lot of content, a lot of connections. I think they have over 20,000 people here. So it's an amazing conference so far, and we're going to be wrapping up, I think, end of tomorrow, and the Formula One is actually here at the same time. Yeah, so it's really busy. There's just a multitude of people everywhere.
Will you go watch the Formula One?
So I'm leaving before they start. So yeah, so they're just doing like the setup now, and then they start doing warm-ups, I think, on the day that I leave. So I won't be able to see any of it, unfortunately.
You're a fan?
Yeah.
Are you following?
No, not at all. But I have watched it before in person.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a cool experience to kind of, the heat coming off of the cars and the tarmac and the smell of it and
how loud they are.
And how loud they are. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. So, but yeah, so I won't be able to experience it this time. But I just know that my commute gets a lot harder because they close roads. So,
hey, Yeah, but the conference itself, their conferences are really, really, good. For sure, one of the best ones. So, interesting. I would love to be there, but just I'll need to rely on a bit of your experience there. So, how is it? It's still kind of, it's hard to decide. Is it still a bear market, or is it the beginning of the bull market? And how is the situation there? How is the motivation and the feeling? Usually this time of the cycle, there's not a lot of people actually really attending, and the motivation is not really so high. But I don't know. I think Asia is a bit differently. You cannot do a conference right now. I think in Europe, that's a more or less a no go. But how is it there? How are people?
It's the attitude and the feeling is that people, yeah, it's very much a bear market at this point. But the optimism and a lot of the conversations that people are having is, we're on the cusp of coming out of that, where we're going to start to see some progress and start to see some uptick. I think that there's a lot of positive projects that are happening. With 20,000 people, it's easy to find some positive projects, but the attitude and the feeling from everybody that I've talked to is very optimistic, and a lot of people think that we're gonna come out of this sooner than later. And I think some of the environment in the world, you see El Salvador doing really well with Bitcoin being their currency and their bonds are up 70%, and all of a sudden, a lot of the traditional organizations are starting to take notice and really realize, the value that crypto provides. So there's some momentum and some optimism there, which is really nice. So
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening in the background, that's for sure. But also a lot of manipulation and a lot of pushback still from the regulators and the governments. They are for sure scared of us. That's for sure. One more question, then we go to the community questions. So, is there would you say there is a narrative kind of evolving somehow within the crypto space that will, let's say, drive the next bull market? Do you see something like that, something that's really taking over a bit more as a narrative?
good question. I think there is a narrative that is really starting to drive some of that optimism. Is that is that you have, well, what we've seen and what we're seeing right now is the successes that organizations have had, and the regulatory bodies getting blowback or some pushback, I guess, maybe in the political world when it comes to cracking down on certain things. So yeah, I think there's a narrative out there that people are becoming a little bit more optimistic when it comes to what we're going to see in the next kind of 6, 12, 18, 24 months. It's
I think
very much up in the air, but
yeah, I think all the bears have been flushed out already, so it needs to start getting a bit more positive. But what,
yeah.
what I meant with narrative is more or less, we had the last bull market. There was first, the DeFi summer, and then the NFTs boomed. So is something like that kind of floating out? You see, the majority of people speaking about some narrative, something within the blockchain space.
Oh yeah, I don't really have like a catchphrase that would be catchy. Yeah, no, I couldn't say
You
if
think you
there's
think
one.
there's a lot of AI projects popping up on there? Did you see any AI projects coming?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are a lot of projects that are utilizing AI to supplement. Ultimately, with with the blockchain, you have all this data that's available, and everything's transparent. And then being able to have AI come in and scrape that and be able to make sense of it. So yeah, I mean, the AI piece is interesting, and a lot of organizations are utilizing it in one way or another, whether it's customer facing or business intelligence on the back end. I think it's that's a great point. Yeah, that would be probably a common narrative, is that the AI is a piece that everybody is integrating into their solutions, and it's a matter of just finding the right talent or expertise to be able to make sure that it's, I guess, functional or useful.
Yeah, I think we'll see the AI narrative kind of playing out, and I see that this bull cycle will be driven by gaming. I think that's kind of my thinking. Let's see. Okay,
I think
let's
so.
go
Yeah.
to the questions, to the community questions. This is why we're here. So,
Sounds good.
yeah. So I'll just read the questions out, and then let's see. I'll take some. You'll take, the others. So the first question is, per the roadmap, does this even happening in Ethiopia, DRC, and Nigeria? So yeah, just if I need to give you a one word answer, it would be actually no. So one thing is that we have things set up for DRC, but we just didn't get the license for DRC yet. So everything is set up, but we just cannot start building there. That's the big issue. And the other issue is, with Ethiopia and Nigeria is actually that if you remember correctly, we set out to get 16 million in funding, and that's actually one country to fund. But then in the end, we didn't get it. Even we started in the beginning of the bear market, so it was really hard to fill the full funding round. And we were short on that, and we got an additional investor, and that one wanted to go really for DRC, and that's where we're stuck right now. So we actually don't have the funds to be going to either Ethiopia or Nigeria. So and the plan was actually starting in one country and then funding the other ones from the income actually that's coming out there. So no, this is currently on hold. Question number 2, I want to buy more, but I'm scared that one big wallet will make another big dump again. Does anyone know how much tokens he or her got left? Actually, no. It's also really hard to talk about any price action or giving any advice. A lot of unlocks have been also happening lately, and I think there are still some unlocks that are coming. So it's really hard to say, and it's also something that we're actually not even allowed to comment on. So that's more or less what I can say about that. Why were we removed from the MEXC exchange? So this is also something that I need to answer. So one was that there was a big dump, and when the big dump happened, and we were at correcting it, but MEXC just they ran the alarm bells, and then they delisted us because we didn't have enough holders. So MEXC actually requires or at least 100 people holding a token, and altogether they need to hold at least $50,000 of tokens worth of tokens. So yeah, that was just not there. So this is why we actually got delisted from MEXC, and they do this a lot. They also, MEXC had quite a lot of issues. You remember they were actually CoinGecko hasn't been counting their volume and so on. And there was a lot of push back against MEXC, so they started cleaning up their things a bit. And of course, they want to delist you so that they can charge you again afterwards for listing. So this is more or less the MEXC story. Do investors need to fund the work, or what will happen if we have investors? Yeah, we are currently on the lookout for investors if you want to continue. And what will happen? Maybe you know that I'll not be the only one talking. Maybe Ricardo, just yeah, where we are at, maybe a bit with the 3-year global part.
Yeah, so from from an investor perspective, we've got quite a bit of interest in people that want to invest and that are interested in the project. They think that we have a novel idea that's unique in the market, and it's just a matter of you know, from a regulatory perspective, being able to kind of move that stick forward. So we have a lot of interest, and you know, from an investor perspective, we're also looking at some alternative ways to, I guess, go to market and bring some revenue in, and through partnerships. So.
Okay, so the next question is, oh, there are many questions in the next question. So how will operate this SIM card? Will work with phones only? So the SIM card will actually operate the same way as any other SIM card operates, just that everything will be actually run by our nodes. And it will work with phones only. I don't know. So right now, yeah, you can actually use SIM cards also in some other devices. So it'll be a SIM card. It'll be an eSIM. So, you know, if the device accepts eSIM, then it'll also accept this SIM card. So why we need it? Because, you know, you want to be connected to the internet, you want to make calls and so on. So it's actually everyone right now has a SIM card. Why will this attract investors? So it is a novel idea. It's a different approach to how telcos currently operate, and I do think it is time to really redefine a bit how things are done in the telecom. So I do think that this is interesting, something that's of interest to investors. But it's actually also usable by everyone, right? So it should be generating revenue from that, and that's actually how it will generate revenue. Who will be the node operators? You will be the node operators. And how will they be paid? So yeah, by tokens. So, you know, it's going to be pretty similar concept than Helium has. Who will buy the SIM card, and what service can we offer at this moment? So yeah, we're just looking at regular retail users, mostly travelers, for instance, because we're actually creating a global SIM card with affordable rates. And yeah, we'll start with data only packages. Either way, we are seeing less and less calls being made, and everyone when traveling is just making calls over data. Right, and Ricardo can also tell you a bit more about that. He's been working in telecom for quite a while.
Yeah, so the major benefit for being able to have, sorry, what's that? So can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Just a bit about the SIM cards, and you know why it is you know the way that we are thinking about doing it over the nodes. You know, why is this a better way of doing it, and you know how it can maybe, let's say, save costs for telcos.
Yeah, so using the way that we're looking at doing it with the SIM cards is being able to you know, decentralize the sorry.
So part of the servers actually.
I'm trying to like.
kind of, the server infrastructure is actually pretty big cost for the telcos. That's one thing. So they have they have to maintain that themselves. But if you run decentralized nodes, that actually goes off to the node operators. So the telcos actually have less costs. But then, on the other side, they actually can just share some of the revenues with the with the node operators. And the nodes are actually global, so you can have services delivered from your nearest node, so it can be a faster service. And also, things are transparent. That's probably the main point of it. So there are also some other things, and if you want to know more, I think there's one question where we'll talk how actually to get to know more about it. And then there's a question for me, a challenge, says Sandi, but can you see light at the end of the tunnel? So let me be 100% clear. If I would not see a light at the end of the tunnel, I would not be here. I would tell you this. So I would tell you we're actually shutting down and we're not doing anything anymore. It is a challenge, and it's more or less a legal challenge. So this is where we're at. But I'm still here. Ricardo is still here. The core of the developers are still here, or they're more or less waiting for their next job. But some things need to fall in place, and they need to fall in place on the legal side. And yeah, we are facing quite big headwinds. And I think one of the thing is that we are trying to do work in Africa, and not everything is really clear there. So we had our license promised, but nobody tells us exactly what's happening and what's going on. Nobody told us we're not getting it, but there is, it's clear that somebody is blocking us. And you need to understand that things are run a bit differently in Africa, and there can be one powerful player, that can be one big telco that's running the show in the country, and they'll just be able to block you for a long time. So yeah, let's see how this develops. There is a team from K3 still working actively on getting that license there. So yeah, I do see light at the end of the tunnel, and we're also working on two other important things that we'll mention today during the AMA, that where I see that things can go forward with FreeAir. So no updates for ages. Is progress being made? So not progress on the development side. We actually stopped that at this moment in time, but there is some progress on the legal side being made. And yeah, we just didn't do any updates and the AMAs for quite some time, because we just didn't have anything really positive to say. Things are, but also nothing really negative. If there would be something really negative to say, we would also make a call and just tell you this. We've always been straightforward. And why we're not doing the AMA calls or any updates, because there are none in the bad sense or in a good sense. So are we getting close to product launch? So for everything that we told you today, it's really hard to say. It can happen really fast, but things I thought we would have a product out by the end of last year. So it's now a year late already, almost a year late. So it's impossible to say. I'm sorry, but it's really hard to say. Things can happen pretty quickly, and if they do, we'll have the product out soon, but they can also take some time.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is very ambitious as well, right? So, and we're going up against organizations, and a lot of the time government organizations that don't want to be disrupted. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do is be disruptive for the benefit of users and for benefit of industry. And so that's, we're always going to come up against those walls. And so, when we have those walls, we're going to have those, those ebbs and flows, the peaks and valleys. So we do make progress, and then we get, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 back. So I think that's just the reality of regulatory environments and what we're trying to do and how ambitious we're trying to be. So.
Yeah, just the regulations are there in place to actually shield the big guys. That's the problem. And we're really trying to disrupt this. And also, when we're talking about disruption, and maybe this is also the place where we can actually talk a bit about what we have been, and what's probably the most likely scenario that will happen, and at least in the positive sense. And we're talking a lot about licensing, right? And it's tough and it is disruptive. So we're taking a bit of a different approach to it, and we're actually partnering up with another disruptive project. Right, and we've been there together with Ricardo, talking, face to face, attending some conferences with them. And Ricardo was, is in constant contact with them and done some work. But maybe Ricardo, you tell a bit about Prospera and what they're actually doing and how they're disruptive, and what they've done already, and where we fit in actually.
Sure. Yeah. So Prospera is a special economic zone, very similar to Shenzhen or Dubai, Singapore, as an example. And what they become is basically a city state. So they're a state within a state. They can make their own regulations. And so what Prospera is one of those special economic zones within the country of Honduras on the island of Roatan. And so we've been working with them, their leadership and their legal center, to really figure out how are we going to provide telecom and communication services, not only to their region, but then how do we expand beyond that? So we've been talking with them for a long time, and it's a legal back and forth. But at the end of the day, what's really important is that they're able to provide a new way of doing things, and have, they're called Prospera, but have prosperity. Shenzhen, as an example, used to be a fishing town, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So same idea of being able to just empower the local people, empower investment, and empower the different industries to have very localized industry. And so that's what we're working with them on being a part of. We want to be a part of that. And we've been very successful in working with them. Now, and then, so it just kind of boils down to how do we structure that, and how do we get to a regulatory point where we can be successful in doing that. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But Prospera is an amazing place they have biomedical stuff going on. They have a new banking system. They have, I don't think they have a police force, but I think they're working on having a police force. So there's a lot of innovation and disruption going on in Prospera, and we're part of that plan. So we're working closely with them to see what we can do to be partners in moving forward from a communications perspective.
Yeah, there's actually no doubt that they want us as partners. That's that has been already talked to, and they're also putting a lot of effort into really getting the legal part, the regulatory part actually straight. But also, either they are kind of a autonomous state in a sense. They still exist within Honduras, and they still exist within the global legal system. So it's also not so just, you come there and then you just make stuff up, right? It still needs to fit in somewhere. But yeah, they had a lot of success before with two major regulatory, how do you say this? So banking system and the medical system, right? And they've done some real disruption there already. And then telco should be the next one. But it did take them also a few years before they could do that. So these things are really not easy. But this is, the things that are not easy are actually worth waiting for usually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next question is, will 3-year or so Sandy be at the Cardano summit in November? So I'll probably not be at the Cardano summit. I also don't think that Ricardo will be there. What do you say, Ricardo?
No, I don't think so. I'll be in November. I think I'll be at the Bangkok Blockchain Week, I believe, is in November. So I'll probably be at that, but I won't be at Cardano.
Yeah, I don't think that will be present at Cardano. Are there any plans for a centralized exchange listing following implementation of MVP? Yeah, for sure, when the time is right, we will for sure go to a centralized exchange again. Although things are moving, so quickly right now, decentralized exchanges actually have more volume currently than centralized exchanges, and it's harder to do market and volume manipulation on a decentralized exchange. So I trust the decentralized exchange volumes far more than centralized exchange volumes, because on a decentralized exchange, if you want to do some volume manipulation, it will cost you a lot of money. But centralized exchanges, most of them, they'll just give you market maker zero fees, and then you just can wash trade how much you want. And so I think a lot of stuff is right now happening on decentralized exchanges, and to be honest, within a few years, I don't even think that we'll be needing the centralized exchanges anymore. But yeah, they're still there. They're still important, and we'll for sure consider another centralized exchange listing when the time is right. Binance will gradually see support for BUSD, how this affects 3-year. So yeah, we are ready to switch to USDT. So that's I wouldn't worry about that. Also, the pool, I think, will get unlocked. I don't know exactly when, but I think yeah, the main issue is actually the pool, right? So let's see. We have solutions for both ways. So if we see that in February, really they're stopping the support for BUSD, and our pool is still locked, we have a way of how to actually also solve that issue. Else we'll just put the same amount of liquidity into a BUSD pool. Okay. There's about 283 million tokens in circulation. Is the rest of the total 830 million still vested? So some is still vested, some is actually with the 3-year. So we have a marketing account, right? We have a ecosystem account, but 3-year has not sold any tokens at all. So it's also it makes no sense to dump the price further. So that's actually some is still sitting with 3-year, and probably the rest is still sitting with some of the early investors, some of the advisors, and so on. And I think vesting still goes on for at least a year, but all the vesting information is actually freely available to everyone on the internet. So you can go and look it up exactly if you want to know exactly. But vesting is still going on for at least a year. Why no applications? I think we actually were talking all the AMA about that, so I don't think this needs another answering. Are there still partners? Referring to the partner list, I've removed scale and plant holds from the list. Well, this one is I don't even know exactly who else is on the list, but we still did not remove scale from the list, right? That's one thing. It's not 100% that we're not building on scale or anything like that. And yeah, with Dustin, we did part ways. The advisors are still on, and other partnerships are all still intact. So yeah, and there are also other partnerships that are in the works. One in particular. Okay. Is the platform still being launched within this Q3? So I think we've talked about that and gave an answer on that one. Is the white paper of 3-year global already being published? So we did not publish it, but whoever from the community actually wants to read it, they can request it and we'll send it to them. Okay. And that's more or less it from the questions that I have. Okay, so let's see if there's something from the live chat. What is the impact of Binance, specifically BUSD and BNB, not being so popular? Any plan to move to other stable coins? Well, I wouldn't say that Binance Smart Chain isn't popular. They still have, I think they're still leading in the amount of transaction that's being done and so on. So I wouldn't say they're not popular, and I don't think that has much impact actually on the whole 3-year situation, because we have far greater issues to solve than on which chain we are. And either way, the plan is not on launching things on Binance Smart Chain. So that was never the plan. We just launched because of the greatest liquidity. We launched a token there, and we needed to launch a token during the bear market. And yeah, it turned out how it did. Is the UTC budget still available for all licenses? Well, if the licenses work out, the budget is still available, yes. Yeah, to be honest, Sandi and Ricardo seem to be quite down and demotivated. So I'm not really demotivated, but yeah, things have slowed down, that's for sure. And we, of course, we did face stronger headwinds that I anticipated. I did think that we'll be at a really different stage at this moment in time.
Yeah, no, if anything, I'm more motivated. And a little more energy than before. It's it's just been a little bit of a longer road than anticipated, but it's not like I said before. It's peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows, and we are making progress and still moving forward 100%. We have really good partners. We have agreements that we're very, very close to having. It's just we're waiting on those ebbs and flows to come and go. So I still believe in this project, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it and making sure that we can be successful.
Okay, yeah, and also we maybe look demotivated because we're not just freaking out because we just don't have any. I cannot smile and give you not really good things that you want to hear, actually, right? So first of all, today we didn't share any really good news, right? The good news, if you want, is that we are not dying. That's the thing. That's a good news. But things are not going the right way at this moment in time. So no, that's why we cannot be thrilled about it. But I'm still here and fully working on this. and so is Ricardo. Okay, so there was another question, I think. Will there be any buyback program if things stay like this for longer? No, if things stay like this for longer, there for sure will not be any buybacks for the token. But if things change, then I'll probably not be doing any buybacks, but we'll be doing some other stuff that will make sense. And yes, put things right for everyone. What is the maximum time frame we can wait for DRC to work out? Well, DRC is one thing. We have 3-year global also coming. So if 3-year global starts, then we can wait for DRC for quite some time. That's not a problem. Still think 3-year has one of the most awesome sites. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I also wish there was more traffic. But thank you. Hopefully new bull market will bring more financial interest into others. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. We literally nailed the top of the start of the bear market to the day. Actually, it's crazy. We started fundraising at the day of when the bear market started. It's crazy. Yeah, I do think that things would probably be really differently if we would start it in a bull market. But yeah, here we are, right? Good. Well, I think we went through all of the questions. This actually took us 42 minutes. It's crazy. I thought we'll be done within 20 minutes, but yeah, apparently there are still a lot of questions being asked, and I'm really grateful for the community, that the community is still there, and we still. It's really humbling that everyone is still supporting things. It's crazy. I'm really thankful.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you everyone for continuing to support and showing up and asking the questions and being curious. And Sandi and I and others on the team, we talk on a regular basis about how we can better support the community. So we did leave it for a little bit too long, maybe last time between, but we want to make sure that we provide value. We don't want to waste anyone's time as well. So thank you for taking the time today to spend time with us.
Yeah, sure. And just send us over some additional questions in the Telegram group, and yeah, we'll try to answer them directly, and also try to answer them then on the next AMA. Okay, everyone, thanks for being here, and yeah, see you soon. Bye bye.